Today's Peter Obi's birthday. How do you feel?
I feel very happy. I've been on social media, Twitter. He's trending number one, and a reflection of his popularity with the populace. So I feel happy with the kind of good way he enjoys. And of course, coming almost about 12 hours after the informal declaration from the governor of Edo State, giving him a subtle threat of not to visit his state again.
Monday.
Yeah, Monday, probably. So, uh, if he and his acolyte go on social media not to study the trend, they will see that the man they want to threaten, the man whose popularity is a threat to them, he will be in their faces for a whole period of time because Nigerians have come to accept it to be as a different from the crowd.
You will not count Shore from the south?
I'm looking at serious candidate are happy. I participate to win their state. To win one state.
Okay, but for fairness, I think he contested also, and he do. Anyways, but I get your point. Welcome to Boring Conversations. I am your host, Biringkpa. Today I'm chatting with Duru Kizito. We will look into his views on Nigerian politics, his take on leadership, and what he thinks about the future of Nigeria, the future of the continent. Without further ado, I give you my guest for today, Duru. Welcome to Boring Conversations.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much. The pleasure is mine.
I really appreciate you a tailor and a journalist. How about that combination?
Well, I'm a journalist by training, and then I'm also business oriented. So I do the tailoring aspect of it as a business.
You've given a whole lot of takes recently. You have talked about a couple of issues, Peter Obi and ADC. And by the way, before we even start, today's Peter Obi's birthday. How do you feel?
I feel very happy. I've been on social media, Twitter. He's trending number one, and a reflection of his popularity with the populace. So I feel happy with the kind of good way he enjoys. And of course, coming almost about 12 hours after the informal declaration from the governor of Edo State, giving him a subtle threat of not to visit his state again.
Monday.
Yeah, Monday, probably. So, if he and his acolyte go on social media not to study the trend, they will see that the man they want to threaten, the man whose popularity is a threat to them, he will be in their faces for a whole period of time because Nigerians have come to accept it to be as a different from the crowd.
Is this something that came to you as a shock? Let's say go back to 2022. This was a man they said had no structure. This was a man they said had no way forward, and they said they were just the obedient movements were just like 4 people tweeting from a particular room. Run down 2023, 2024, 2025, and here we are. This is the man on everybody's mouth. He didn't attend the burial of the late president, and it was the talk of the town. And even when he went there, he still was the talk of the town. And then he later posted stuff about Edo and all that, and he still is the talk of the town. Who is really the sheriff who is really the new sheriff now in town?
Yeah. It didn't come. What was shocking to me was that Peter Obi didn't. Let me not say he didn't win that election. He was not announced as the winner of that election. I was convinced that it was time for young Nigerians to try a new thing, and that conviction was because of the disconnect between the leaders and the people. And so I am saying that what the shock was that INEC compromised with the beavers to deny Nigerians and Peter Obi, the victory and the mandate, because you cannot look at the followership of Peter Obi, the organic followership that cuts across regions and religions in Nigeria and take him for a joke prior to that election. He uttered in the normal way of campaigning, where you go about, you must be praying before your campaign has any shape or form. But what we saw was Peter Obi could be in Abuja, and there will be a rally in Imo State without his presence, and people leaving their businesses, coming out, donating money to the rally, staying there for hours, and reaffirming that it is time a Nigerian with a difference is given the mandate to steer this country to a shape. And I tell you, it is because he was able to do what the ordinary politicians couldn't do. This is why the envy, he has been generating from his counterparts in other political parties. Of course, Monde Bobule wasn't the first person to do this. We saw that from Benue State, from the Reverend Father when
Benue State.
Petro.
Benue State.
Yeah, when Peter Obi had wanted to go there, to go to the IDP camp and generously donate, to their well-being, the Reverend Father, and who is also the governor, for reasons best known to him, obstructed his coming. We have also seen Professor Charles Soludo, displaying cross envy, needless envy,
Yeah.
to the things Peter Obi said. And when he does that, he further lays credence to the things that Peter Obi said. So these are people who didn't imagine that a colleague of theirs could stand out, that a colleague of theirs could convince Nigeria that it is possible to be a good governor. It is possible not to have your image, reputation dent by political offices. So they consider him a spoiler in their games of siphoning and looting the treasury left, right, and center. So one will even wonder if Peter Obi is the president of Nigeria, because every blame comes to him. And for me, I understand, because he's a threat to them, and he has shown Nigerians, he has changed the psyche of Nigerians. He has shown Nigeria that what we have been subjected through the years has been nothing than man's inhumanity to another.
True, because if you even look at the whole situation as it concerns the fact that these places he has been given restrictions, either not to come and stuff like that, these are places in dear need of. He wasn't going for any campaign of a sort. He went to Edo State to donate 15 million. He was to go to Benue State to equally visit the people in the IDP camps and all that, which shows that these governors are either underperforming or they are really having serious problem within the enclaves of their political borders and stuff like that. But you still see this much animosity down there, and it leaves you worried. But also, if we're to shift a bit, you have mentioned that Peter Obi hasn't rushed to join ADC, and for you, that is a wise move. Why do you think staying with Labour Party is crucial for political strategy right now?
Well, people would argue that there are crises in Labour Party as regards the factions that have been created since the last election, and that is the truth, right? But the Supreme Court has led to bear those issues, even though their judgment was not explicit, but it is akin to the judgment they gave in the case of the PDP, right? Which the BOT and the legal department of the INEC have also let to rest. The truth of the matter is that for us, or for me, or for us who are truly believers of Peter Obi, we still think that he is not down politically in Nigeria. We still think that he is the most sellable, the most likable, and the most reliable politician in Nigeria. And we feel that 2023, 2027, I beg your pardon, we provide another chance for him to try again. The fact of the matter is that the coalition is a good idea.
Sorry for all the issues, Nigeria and our issues. You've mentioned that Peter Obi hasn't rushed to, join the ADC, and that it's a wise move on his part. So I'm asking, why do you think staying with Labour Party is crucial for his political strategy right now, as opposed to dropping his party, as we have seen Waziri Atiku done already. We'll get to that particular part in a bit, Kenneth Okonkwo, Waziri, but for now, why do you think staying in Labour Party at the moment is a wise decision for Peter Obi?
The truth of the matter is, politics is about negotiation. And when you negotiate, you have to come from a place of strength. The coalition will be the coming together of interested parties. And for young Nigerians who were impressed with what Peter Obi did in the last election, we are still interested in him running again in 2023. This is going to be the day he also negotiate and be starting of the ticket before he formally joined them. And that is why I said that him being there in the Labour Party is a very good strategy. It means that he can easily walk away from the negotiation room without being elected. Once and to once, he runs with Labour Party. But if he is Labour Party and joins the ADP, when the negotiation has not been finalized, it means that if the ADC says no to his presidential ambition, he would have lost Labour Party and lost, any chances of becoming the candidate of the ADC. So I think it's good for him to still remain in the Labour Party, but if the negotiation fails, he has a fallback, right? So I think we of course know that the PDP had no direction, and as a matter of fact, it is still within the grip of the FC minister. So he cannot wrestle it out of his hand. So it was better for him to leave the party. But the case is not the same. The Peter Obi is still the leader of the Labour Party. It is not a gift. And he still has the love of people for him and for Labour Party. So if it's leaving to join the coalition, it will be on a concrete arrangement that is sad and safe. Other than that, it should still remain in the Labour Party.
What do you have to say about what people say as a consensus? Whichever party he goes to, we are going to vote for him, regardless of the party. It's the person and the candidate we are voting for, not necessarily the party. Does he have any bearing?
Yes, it does. Labour Party didn't have him. Even in my local government at the last election, I didn't know who was the chairman of the local government of Labour Party in the local government. This was about Peter Obi. If it will be treated another party other than the Labour Party, it's important to swing into that and go the fight on election day, right? So if you pick to be that carries the party, not the other way around. Other positions, you want the party that has structure and that will carry them along, and that will add weight to their candidacy. But purpose to be, it's fit to be. You try any party you want to run with, they will still have this coach followership. They will still have this the voters, the young Nigeria, joining him in that party immediately and making sure that he gets votes on the election day. So in fact, it was the reason why the idea of independent candidate is getting momentum at the National Assembly, because what he did was the Labour Party showed that, perhaps party is not as important as he has thought in the Nigerian political perspective.
Yeah. Wow, it's a great take down there, and I can see why this is so, and all that. But this idea of the North, the North, the South, the dynamics as it concerns, it's 4 years here, it's 4 years there, it's our turn, it's a Milocon here, it's like this. He has to go 8 years to the North and 8 years to the South. All of a sudden, Nigerian politics have become a thing of 8 years as opposed to the normal 4 years to vote an elected leader into office and give a chance to contest. Beyond the whole idea of federal character, which is a thing that can be contested on many fronts, how do you see these dynamics evolving as we approach the next election? Because the Nigeria looks as though it doesn't have 2026 in its calendar. It's like 2027 is like the stuff everybody's talking about already, and the president is just 2 years into his job.
Well, the fact that I think they have adequate education. Like in 2027, if they go to the north, it does not shorten the south. Feel that President Musa and I don't know,
Yeah.
a southerner, Jonathan completed it, and every point for another fellow, So if you look at it, the first have had also long as began the office of the president and the north.
Okay.
But the incident of death is not something someone right or something someone foresees. Right. So it is not something that should also alter our political arrangement. A Southern could that as a president, not the constitutional position is that the deputy or the vice president, finishes the tenure and has the constitutional backing to contest for the different times in office. But with us as it's made, my belief is that Buhari had it uninterrupted years. And within this time, there was no star that contested that accepted, particularly in the second term. The PDP presented an article, and then the other party presented the House as the right. So now, I think the class should be allowed to go for another term.
You will not count Shawore from the south?
I'm looking at serious candidates. Candidate that has the capacity to win their state, at least to win one state.
Oh, okay, but for fairness, I think he contested also, and anyways, but I get your point. Like talking about the pillars and the main guys down there.
Yeah. So now, it must not also be President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. People like Peter Obi, even Rotimi Amechi, they have placed in it only 4 years. So I think the Lord should allow the time to go another seminar that we can in 26 as well.
Okay.
That this is what I believe. I am not dismissing the arguments of the law as regards the longer of the that is sustained. But I'm saying that and the constitutional provision of the vice president completing the law of it's not something that should alter our the political arrangement. So what we should have, because if we're also looking at the north and the south, should the Christians in Nigeria begin to also think that the next president should be a Christian, being that both Buhari, Tinubu, and Biden are Muslim. What is the political reality that should allow them to just be at the end? What is important is that the South should they have a shot at the presidency of 2031, and that is where I stand.
Okay, but as it concerns conversations about meritocracy, the best man for the job, many persons will get to say, regardless of whether it comes from a particular place. Do you think that idea sells, or you are fully in for federal character?
No, I'm playing for federal character. Meritocracy makes it look like that it's a part of Nigeria where there are no qualified or capable individuals. That is the lie. If you come to it, there is no state in Nigeria that does not have someone that is qualified and has the character to be the president of Nigeria. So when they begin to preach meritocracy, and you begin to wonder, okay, take for instance, all we have in Tinubu's cabinet, about 89% of very important positions
I'm from the West.
by the Yoruba people. And when you ask them, they will tell you they are looking for the best. Are you saying that the best cannot be found in the north? Are you saying that where the Yoruba has the monopoly of producing the best? That is the hate for other regions. Because the history of Nigeria has shown that it took pay for the best, coming from every region, the next is from the west of it. So you cannot tell me that there is no body, there is no policeman, there is no southerner in the police force to be less and the federal police that will not the affairs of it. No, you cannot tell me that there is no alpha man that should be the central bank governor. No, it's not. It's not. The federal character is if it is demonstrated, if you look at the position, take it to the state, then in those days you now go for the best. The best must not come from a particular region. No, that's reality. I am for federal character, and a federal character, I think, is the best in every region of this country.
True, I agree with you on the aspect of the slap on the face as it concerns, picking a particular candidate from a particular region. I remember the letter DK Chukwumerije wrote, I think it was in Buhari's second tenure or first tenure, like an open letter to the president as it concerns the fact that almost all top offices were held by the North. And it's almost like, let's talk about the guys who are closer to us here. They are the current realities we have. So it's easy to say they have really failed on that. Buhari on the one hand picking most guys from the North, and then Tinubu at the moment picking guys also predominantly from the from the West. I think you have to give it to Jonathan that he did um, far better than they did down there, and he was even trying to even revive the Amajiri school system and all of those type of conversations down there. But if we are to step back a bit, what is life like for you now in Nigeria and for your friends? What goes on the streets? Because I don't think the political class. You pointed out that out before we had the network cut us out during the live session on that when we making use of the software. What is life for the average Nigerian? If you go out now, you're heading towards Ulakwo, you're going towards Naked Junction, or you are heading towards Douglas. I don't know if they have renamed it. Why I feel they should rename Douglas, considering the history it carries. But let's assume it's. I want to believe Douglas is still Douglas, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. Just like Port Harcourt also, and the whole idea of the people that those places were named after. What is life for the average person in Douglas who sells or who hawks around that particular region, or in the different parts of Owerri where you currently find yourself? And then we come down to Hope Uzodinma and ask what your article asks about him.
Well, the like at the community level for the average man, there is the exception of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The economic hardship is unprecedented. There is nothing it's like this. It is so bad that the prayers of Nigerians is no longer about making the country work again, but taking it back to where it is the reality now. Listen, some lecturers in Imo State University, even with master's degree, and about 120,000.
How do they take care of their family?
Yeah, I'm really trying to say that this person cannot comfortably afford a bag of rice with 1 month salary.
How much is a bag of rice at the moment? Sorry for cutting you.
A bag of rice between 80,000 to 5,000, right? Depending on the quality. Now, if this person from there takes care of his right, to get a comfortable two-bedroom apartment in a way, the least you should be looking at is 500,000 half a year.
For a year?
Yeah, for in a way, in the particularly in the heart of the city.
Okay.
It ranges from between 500,000 naira to 1 million. It depends on the location. Now, a lecturer that earns 100,000 naira will now, it will take him 5 months of not touching his salary before it puts the bill. And this is not a metaphor based on his family. It is not about electricity bill. It's not about pouring his car or the rental of some. So you see that as in Nigeria can merely survive. There is hunger, which has given rise to insecurity. At night, you no longer feel safe because people are hungry and they are doing drastic things to survive. Unemployment. The federal government has not been opening the parastatals and necessaries to absorb the steaming graduate. Even when you go to the market, they will tell you that they are getting low fertilization. So they've got, I guess, customers to buy, and many people do say edible commodity. because you need to eat before you buy a clothes now, right? So it had been a very, very depressing reality for the average Nigerian. So much so that even so how thrift really is now, it's considered wasn't, because you look at your income and then you look at the cost of good positive in the country, and you begin to look at the whole thing, and then you know that we are in a very unfortunate situation. When the subsidy was removed, the reason the federal government gave is that they were going to channel its money to creation of jobs. With nothing. And I wrote an article when this is acceptable. I said the price of fuel of petrol products in Nigeria determine the life we are living in Nigeria. Once it skyrockets, everything follows suit.
Because we don't have any other means of transport apart from this particular,
We don't. We don't.
and we use generators more than we do any other thing.
Yes, the one that imports his goods, maybe the people that stay there or any northern onion tomatoes, they bring it from the north.
Yeah.
So if it takes them 100,000 naira before now, it will be costing them about 500,000 naira, because the driver drivers will understand the work, and then everything goes, it goes up. The finance goes up. So I like that it should not touch the petrol. What was to the thought was the corruption in the petroleum interest, and not to remove the subsidy and say that in newsletter. And of course, the economic team was even better to mandate to all out of the presidential declaration of confidence. And this is here where people are suffering. Before now, someone who worked as the gatekeeper in the restaurant or the factory that earned 30,000 or 40,000, which comfortably, it only cannot be competent, could manage itself for a month. But I say that salary cannot be enough for you in a week. And yet, it is still what they are doing there. So how are these people going to survive? These people have FPR needs. They have need for shelter, needs for food, needs for clothing. I'm telling you, I've lived all my life in Nigeria. I have not seen this level of hunger, this level of deprivation, this level of suffering, this level of certain there, because the uncertainty is that you are not even certain that it is going to get better anytime soon. And this is where we are, and it is very unfortunate.
It is almost looking like a dystopian novel, and sometimes you sit down and you ask yourself from where to where to where, because there are students in school, different schools across the country. They ought to study, they ought to read, they ought to do a whole lot of stuff. How do you think they get affected by this? And I'm by no chance making an excuse whatsoever as it concerns the different levels of, will I say, promiscuity that is growing among students now, as it concerns what they now call OS, right? And as well as people going into fraud. Do you think as this continues, it's going to get worse and we're going to lose the great chunk of our young people to bad habits?
If the human brain and life is wired to survive. So that's the best instinct. And most times, one push to the wall, you can unleash some certain aspect of you, which you don't even know that you're capable of, just to survive. I will start working brief for vices in the society. When you look at it, a young girl whose mother is the primary school teacher, and then there's 100,000, and possibly who has lost his brother or her brother at early, and there's the mother, and that is 100,000 has an 4 kids to take care of. And possibly she's not the only one in the high institution. The mother only will not be paid. and then that's where they have need for 20,000 transportation and all that. It would be fear. There would be the temptation to let ends meet. Perhaps the meat does not is not as important as the end. What is important is that the money she makes the president is not that one or two academic issue. And then everything she got it. And this is why they like business it multiplying. I don't know for other people, for apart of the world that I do my businesses and they are imprisoned by their number. And you know that most of these people are not what this is not what they contact to do ordinarily.
Yeah.
But the reality is that they have got result and themselves. And they want to take that word, you may not only blame them. You could say that they shall use their energy positive, but most times they don't not work that way.
What do you use your energy to do in a very short period of time in Nigeria?
You okay, if ready, if ordinarily I have right to travel out of the country,
Sure.
there is provision for study and work. Or you think that there is hour you can work with the student visa.
Yeah.
But then it is enough to a certain level to continue to put your bills and even pay rent if you are hard working. Now, how those who are even working full time in the supermarket and catering that and all that, I spend 30,000, 40,000 for coming every day. If a student and you want to work part time, how much will it be paid?
Maybe 10,000.
And how enough will it be for your needs? Well, another thing is if you're going to go out in the night and can't select money, 50,000 for 8 hours. Who believe to copy that? You believe to copy that. So it is our reality. Look at the young boys from secondary school now. Yeah, they are being stung how to do wrong. Those who are teaching you, we also tell that they are graduated. There is no work. I mean, it gives you that hopelessness. They put it in you. That in fact, before you do spend in the university, why don't you get them mentor you on how to get money online to look at projects? And the reality is that it's not just that are flinging up in or where a plastic card. But there are three sets of people. I agree in the last article that they are doing well.
Yeah, I came across it.
Yes, the first thing are the politicians who are putting and making the treasury.
Sure.
The second thing are the people I can try and gain in abroad. Maybe the office, the doctors, those who are anywhere in abroad.
Yeah.
Then the last thing are the posters.
Back home.
According to Yahoo Boy, back home. These are the people who are safe abroad or big economy. These are the flip people, the politicians, the people in abroad who are training their currency in Naira. And then the poster. These are the three people who are well if someone is well now in Nigeria, but it is part of this three people. And the approach it also categorize those who are doing important and important. So, and then if you see a young guy on your continent, maybe after graduation, you start, say your five straight from one institute to another, and then within 2 years, you see your course next, and you the asking you why they make that, and then you ask him, and you tell me this for. I mean, at the time, you would want to also go down. If you take a result of this people, that will also come with a spiritual guidance.
Yeah.
For you to stick to what you're doing. Other than that, you want to provide that. You want to give it that kind of other and you want to outfit the national security to do what you can with more. And here we are, the government are not providing those. They don't predict here. Because for me, for some person, if you are not even take the point of furthering family, you have regarded as not this.
Yeah, because
It's a trend. You have to bring the trend. But in order, I blame the government. Yeah? Before now, my dad wanted like that, right? Why that he told me that he had 5 2 back 3 friends.
Come to their school.
They approached him, they will ask him,
Yeah.
first generation students. I mean, it was just as a matter of where they want to work. If you want to, and a very good writer within
You get a car
even if you don't get a car, you can buy it
on loan. Yeah.
Well, before when I was in primary school, some of our people had cars.
Yeah.
But now, the primary school teacher cannot have. In fact, this my dad built with our house in the beginning. As he came to writing at that as the lowest other of a part. Before the law for you to start building bigger cars or anywhere you want to be, you have there. For not a banker is compulsory and abrasa on a physical, which is not enough for them, you know. Let's say finance line happen, starting including project. So they had no more made up for that. Before such a promise that they are made up for, they are not considered quality. You have the teacher have a section on the family, they send their stickers to pay. What's more? Because in that sense, I'm not people do that. Because the money has become valueless and there is no increase. I can take it today. The still government are not achieving the 12,000 naira.
So they still pay the 30.
They are still paying it, right?
That's less than $20.
That's the thing. So how survive? And then in the country that I think letters should not do, but how did that kind of survive without that? He will do it. Because the salary is not enough for him compared to what he did to the society. That salary is less. So we have to kind of underlook to survive. And those alternatives are illegal and sometimes immoral. But the governments are not doing anything about it. So I am telling them, like what you said, it's lower stake. I'm not saying it's bad. I look at even the letter, the essence of everything. Like, let's say it isn't difficult for you to even get some data to do because before now, it was easy for people to travel out of the country because they will put to attend for school, they will tell you what they call it. Sorry, application fee $100. Then you know that
It's less than 50,000.
something less than 50,000.
That is even during
That was
Buhari's regime, because Jonathan's regime was lower than that.
yes, because I was at home for school there, so I could easily print some of it. And this application remain constant. What has changed?
It's exchange rate. Yeah.
So before you could easily print $200 application fee, but now you cannot do it because they are looking at close to more than 300,000. You cannot do it. So the idea of actually like move travel, let's see how the use the rest of that. So I'm afraid it depends. I mean, it is absolutely different.
What should the youth be? What should the youth be gearing towards? You know, because I think it's a fight for survival. Listening to Randy Peters on the Honest Bunch when he was asked about what happens if next election doesn't turn out the way it should be, he said, when you're fighting when you're having a revolution, for how long do you go on fighting? And Husband Material responded by saying, for as long as it takes to win. And he said, that's it. That's it. For the average Nigerian who hasn't thought of the idea of voting and who hasn't thought about the real importance of really coming to vote, what advice do you have for him as we wrap up down here, as it concerns what they ought to do, how they ought to look at life? Because it's possible to have this Stockholm syndrome. We see the whole lot. Someone like Buhari is buried as though he was a very, very good person, and for somebody who contributed little or nothing to the educational sector of the country, a full-blown university, a whole uni made, was named after him. And now, beyond the whole idea of whether it's going to be called Uni Buhari or it's going to be Unibu or what, the way we joke on the internet about the whole stuff and we catch clues and then we leave it at that particular level. But there's something very, very sinister and very, very serious going down here that we are not seeing. Like a state capturing has already happened. To the young person who is 16, who is 18, if this person was 18 when Buhari came into office, if you add 8 years to that, the person would have been 26, and then you add 2 more years to that, the person would have been 28 by now, serving under Tinubu's regime. And if care is not taken and if calculated moves are not made, the person might end up with another 4 more years, which would make him, I think, 34 years old at the time Tinubu will be finishing his tenure in 2031. What moves should such young people be taking, knowing that age is not on their side? A guy comes into office, he stays for 4 years. After 4 years, 4 years is added to their life for good or for bad. What should young people be doing about politics? Beyond reading the few stuff we have on our media outlets out there, how engaged should they become? What books should they be reading to put themselves in the right move and put themselves in the right situation to come to know what their country is at the moment, as opposed to just, media cruise? Comedy is good, but beyond laughing, it's like drugs. You come back to the real life, right? And you cannot be laughing all the time, else you become a laughing gas or whatever that is.
I think the youth should be more embracing. As much as I realize the division in ethnic, religious, and regional lines.
Yeah.
Because when you go on Twitter, you see young men who are saying that this administration is doing well.
I'm so surprised. Saki and of course.
You look at their left, you will just connect the dots. Right? You just connect. So, what people are the people that should wake up? Because Nigeria does not know with what they fight to get a little coin here. You get something, you get it in hand. The tech you buy here, you buy like 80,000 here. If you go to Canada, it could be 70,000. Why it's 80,000? Like, because of transportation.
Yeah.
Right? We don't have good medical health care treatment. It's a lot in Imo State, it's a lot in Canada, it's a lot in
It's not even in Abuja
It's not even an Abuja.
because
Security in Anambra, we have it in Benue, we have it in Otano, we have it in Katsina, we have. I mean, it's a problem of a country. It has nothing to do with where you're coming from. But just like I said, we have been divided. There was an argument I made the last time I saw them over here. I said, the one I'm supporting Peter Obi, I do not like it because the third impression it gave when I tweet or when I write to them.
it's an Igbo candidate.
It's an Igbo candidate. And actually, if Peter Obi has been a Yoruba man,
I would have supported him.
and I would have supported him. Like ordinary that I also feel admiration for Kalasara. For me, from the distance, he appears a very ordinary man. So this time he wants to contest for election. And I look at those he's contesting against. And if there is any possibility that I should pick it, I am a fan of Sheyi Makinde, a Yoruba man of Oyo State government. I like it. I can't pick him when you want to contest for election, but as far as this set of individuals that I picked in the league, it remains the same for me.
Yeah.
Because this is difficult for someone that is easily they love, they have not had any fight on him by the DFPC or ICT for him. And for a month of someone they sit for 8 years. You the true the ruling government treated to blackmail the people they feel
It's corruption.
at the EFP, they come after you, either you propaganda or you got a voice. But Sito has been there. What is it threat and that people should, people should be a bike. There's no, it was a man that was unpopular at the command of me.
And he refused.
That nobody can say he collected his property or he hit and let that. No. What we trust was the government here. Then we are crying on arbitrary takeover of land of people. In fact, we have to tell people. I mean, he's so irreversible. What? He's not just a real elite. I am telling you, From the gate of that compound, you will need a bike to take you to that part. Enter the same compound. I don't know. I mean, in the same gate, the entrance gate, you will, if you want to walk to Roger's house in the same compound, you have to walk for about 20 minutes. But you get to that in the same compound.
Leotoso will get to ask how much land does a man need?
I mean, it took a community line. It took a community line. But this is people the old thing they actually they had the coin work on. And they get to take the thing has the not that if you have to become a part of a presenter or candidate. That is it. At least it's not a man that posture that's a poor man. Yesterday, the reference is similar like even a department that was the temporary department that was at the end of the application because of poor collaborators. In one generation, I had
And accreditation for federal government owned university. So universities, maybe this is a conversation for another day if we come to have that conversation. A university that was supposed to be funded by the federal government and has been left to look for its own money by its own self.
the first matter is that the military, before you go there, the military is doing their own budget.
Yeah.
And these are the things they put in the budget. The Minister of Education had its own budget. So the fact they frequently, what do they do with this money? And even the internal revenue of the school, with the federal education, they also have their revenue, how they direct to humongous revenue for installation.
Yeah.
What do they do with it? The department as important as them take time. They will at the rate of deep growth. And they needed an extraction. And the Minister of Education did not go here. Nobody needs the Senate Commission on Education. Nobody could contact on the weekend.
What is happening to unionism?
Oh no, they student university. It's a forgotten issue.
Is it like a rubber stamp or it's just like a monumental?
The really, I mean, the vice sector and all that. So it is gone. It can go. Right. So, fire like the youth should show more aggression because these people are, they have had the country to offer for years. And I think it is time for young people to rise up. But I'm concerned about our willingness to do that as a collective, a unity. Is that minded our language, our religion, our region, our who is your brother and history of God. I hope we have to do.
Because from the sort of our conversation to this particular point, one thing is very, very clear. One thing we've been able to establish as we wrap up down here is a very, very simple thing that the hunger is everywhere, except your family is well to do by way of old money or by way of, will I say now back to the three arms of stuff you talked about? It's either you have family members abroad, not just family members abroad who are researching like me, those who are actually working, right? And those who have a thing to do for themselves. Or you have family members back home who, one way or the other, participate in one form of politicking or politifing, rather. Or you have those back home who are sourcing their source of income from the internet or from whatever fraudulent means. You are all in the same boat like me and you. You are all in the same boat like a whole lot of other persons, you know. And we have to rise up and know this particular fact and know this particular truth and know that there are no ambulances in that country for the right reason, because many persons mix up ambulance and hiaces for the same thing, you know. They are meant to do different jobs. So what we take to carry dead bodies are like, you know, another things we're supposed to take and carry dead bodies. So when you say ambulance, people say, but the one they take to bury my mother now. That's not supposed to be the job of an ambulance. Typically, if you are dying tomorrow and you want to ring up a number to call, which number are you going to dial? If you want to travel, I struggle to understand when I see people like Saki and the whole lot, not to call names, right? But I think we cannot continue without calling names, and Sime and all those type of guys. And you see these people and they support the things they support. You begin to ask yourself, It's not the same Nigeria that they have friends and family members, or the human brain, for whatever reason, just decides to stay on the side of, like you said, survivor, but survivor now as opposed to right reason. And it's saddening, my brother. It's saddening the situations in Nigeria. And I hope young people, as well as old people, also come to recognize their responsibility. The old, to a large extent, have to come to recognize their guilt and take responsibility for whatever they have contributed to the country. And those also in the civil sector also have to come to take take things seriously. And I hope we come to a place where we can reasonably, fix the country, because we are not beyond redemption. Because James Bowen, the African American writer, would get to tell us, what do you want to tell the children? That there is no hope? That there is no hope for tomorrow? Then what are we doing here? What are we doing here? We are here, we're having this conversation, I believe, because we believe there is hope. And the hope we believe in is the hope that the country is going to get better. The hope we have is a hope that things are going to go well and things are going to go strong for you, for me, for everybody. As we wrap up, are there few things you want to say? Because as I rightly know, beyond the connection we had, the problem we had, you are almost behind schedule.
Yes, I want to say that there's no country that the plastic that we are selling it. Above break my heart is that we are not looking towards hard enough for me. It gets what I did it. But I also believe in one engagement I had on break that I said what happened in 2023 was not really about the project. It was not about who won or who lost. It is about the consciousness of the clever Nigeria and the young Nigeria. I saw it.
Yeah.
Many people who are before when I was decided to have them understand and move.
I came to vote, but I had a problem with my.
It is taken up my cousin from you. Story for that people came back a week before the election.
But I was because they had a problem with moving my polling unit, so I didn't end up voting. But I saw the momentum and I saw what really happened. And
It is exagger the fact method was during the end time. The second method was in this presidential election. The class had other. I am optimistic that within our lifetime, something will happen that will take the foundation of this country. I don't know if this would be final, if it's a revolution, if it's a protest, but I'm happy that hunger is beginning to define Nigeria. Because hunger does not care who you are, whether you're from the West, North, or East. I am hopeful that with the time of exposure young Nigerians and questions, because from the Buhari era, people started thinking as a big country.
yeah,
And then when they go to the country that has the work ethic, they begin to know indeed. Because most of the young Nigerians who are supporting what we have here, some of them are touching after the struggle of the nation. So for them, this is the either.
sure.
This is how it should be. So when they put the back to where what governance to me, and without it, I mean, they did enforce to do everything they have, even if they take their life, to agriculture and Nigeria for their children.
Yeah.
So I am optimistic. That's all time. It's a very short one. I don't know if it is through electoral report where people will say it is here to that this is the second one, or through the normal revolution where people just look out on the state one on it and said, even if the president don't kill out at this process, hunger will just have some like kill out. So let's up die the Libya war. And then the condition of this country, and then the way owner for this country will take this country out from the Bukania, now add it down over the years, and then find a way to make it work for the Commonwealth on the streets of Nigeria.
I really appreciate your time speaking with us today on Boring Conversations. I believe we've not had a boring conversation. The title is Boring Conversations, born out of the fact that, those who don't want growth would definitely say, this is a boring talk, this is a boring conversation, but it's anything but boring. It's every other thing but boring. Thank you for coming on the podcast. Nze Duru Kizito. Thank you for granting me the chance to talk to you today, and I hope we could have you down here talking to us about the experience you're having as a Nigerian and the experience many other Nigerians are having, many other persons are having as it concerns the things affecting the country. Not just the bad stuff, but equally the places we're making strides. But there are very, very few places you can really want to write something very, 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 very beautiful. That popular saying, "Don't give me music. Why you playing music? My country is suffering so much that the people don't understand music." And but to a large extent, we've had good music in Nigeria. A couple of persons have done good things here, and it's good a thing to see that someone like Peter Obi is standing and is standing to allow you, like you rightly said, he has done what many persons felt it was impossible to do, beyond even what MKO Abiola did, beyond what a whole lot of other politicians did in the past. Because while you might talk about MKO Abiola, you cannot also substantiate source of his world clearly, because there have been allegations here and there, but at least he's a man who was stood his ground and said, "Go look for the information. You are Reno, you are Bayo Nanuga, whoever you are, Daniel Boala, bring the stuff." But we've not been able to see anything down there. And I am proud he is from the east. I would have as well been proud if he was from the south, or if he was the south, like the proper south now, or if he was from the north, because he's a proud Nigerian and he's a man a lot of persons should be rooting out there for. This is Boring Conversation. I am your host, Biringkpa. If you've watched to this particular point, if you've listened to this particular point, wherever you're listening to from, please do like, drop a comment, share, and let's continue this conversation. Kizito, before you go, what question will you want me to ask my next guest if the person is a Nigerian?
As the festival, we want you to ask a question if you were a freelance as Nigeria. What politics would you put on ground to ensure the unity of this country?
Growth in all ramifications, right?
Growth and unity in all application of this country.
I would convey your message to the next guest. And if it happens that you are the next guest, then I will take it up from there again. I really appreciate